Welcome to the Mantic Universe podcast for another Kings of War episode on a preview of 4th edition. This time we're covering the Salamander's army, and I'm here with Mark Zelinsky.
Hey, everybody.
And Menai. Hello
Hi.
there. So, on a quick overview, we got a preview army list from Mantic Games for a preview to you guys. And for a quick mention, another podcast, the Tales from the Warriors Hall, already did a quick breakdown on the unit profiles and changes. So we won't cover this again in detail here. So if you want to know about this one, listen to the podcast episode about Salamanders and give them a like and leave a comment there, obviously. And we are now going to look a little bit more into advanced tactics and how we would like to build those armies in future. So depending on the order how the episodes are released, we already introduced Menai. So for those who don't know him yet, it may be a different order than we recorded this episode. So his introduction will either be already done or follow up later in another episode, depending on the order of release. So in the part one, the army review. So, Mark, how do we feel about the overall layout and presentation compared to 3rd edition in the army?
Boy, that is a real sticking point right now. It's been a topic of conversation on Fanatics for sure. It's different. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way I did when we went from 2nd to 3rd. It's just kind of a feeling, and even to some extent from 1st to 2nd. It's different.
Yeah.
So you got to get used to it. I don't like everything jammed together. I liked it better with the kind of bullet point style, listed out. They didn't really have the bullet points, but it just was listed out. This is all jammed in with semicolons. So you'll get used to it. I think that from a artistic standpoint, it's much better. I really like the picture of the unit, the model that goes with the unit. So I really like that. In this particular one, you can see that there is a placeholder. And so we're going to see new models for those, since this is going to be an STL release sometime in the future, but no sneak previews. So
not for us. We were told that everything regarding the STL and Salamander release is coming on release with 4th edition. So we haven't any more info on that one. We just know which models are shown, which models have artworks and not. So we can get a little bit into details later about that. But sorry, guys, no details on the actual STL release this time.
Yeah, we just know that it's coming and it's going to be exciting. But as you can see from the pictures that you're putting up on the screen, it's a big difference. Just like the bubbles were a big difference going from 2nd to 3rd. That also had its share of controversy. So, but and you've got the new names for that. You've got shoot now and things like that. So, what do you think about it?
So I like the semicolons more. I like to have my statistics all beneath each other. I like that. I like that you have the traits on the right. So because it's rule relevant. That you see that on the first look. I can only cast it on flame bounds. Who are the flame bounds? I like that. That it's a really big space on the right side there. For me, I like this the semicolons. I have that on the table too. So if I print it out, I have it on the table too. And I really dislike the old thing. Because it was different in the companion and when I printed it out. So, and I like the print out version just more.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is you can look at this right away and you think that there's wasted space, but it really gives you a lot of information. This unit has no traits and no options. You just know that by looking at it. So there's a real advantage to it. Like I said, it is definitely artistically more pleasing. So I really like the pictures.
I mean, it's an interesting point. Is the in the previous version, so now it's on screen, the keywords for the same character were Reptilian, Salamander, Ancient, and Inferno, which weren't doing everything in the rules actually, but you get the good impression what this unit should be, because just the name with the Rakavas, the Pale Rider, didn't mention anything about what race or background this army has. And so you had the keywords to get it's a reptilian and it's a salamander, which is now replaced with the picture of the actual model or unit. So those keywords to identify what the unit is are not needed anymore, and it's just only the rules relevant traits. So I think this is a good trade-off in the new style in this, and also much easier for new people who are interested in the army and want to see what is the army actually look like and what models to use. Okay. So do we have we're going to let's jump into command orders for now. So this is an interesting one. We have 4 command orders, which are 3 of them for a target number of 4+. One is a 3+, and the interesting one is with Will of the Ancients on a 4+, the unit cannot charge this turn but gains 1+ speed. So as we don't know any details on command orders yet, just that they are restricted to 12-inch bubble. Given that they are having a +1 speed and denial of charge, I guess we will see them either in the movement phase or prior and not in the shooting phase. And this is an interesting...
I think you'll definitely see them in move. So
before things happen. And speeding up units, but not being allowed to charge. So this is like an not an opposite, but an addition to wild charge. When you say you have wild charge, which gives additional speed when you charge, and in this time you have additional speed when you don't charge. So this is an interesting one on to see what changes the command order bring to the playstyle or the flavor of the factions. So how useful do you guys rate that one? Menai?
I think it will be useful if you play like fire elementals that maybe don't want to charge because you want to shoot or fireball something beforehand, and you can just move them 1 inch further up to shamble them, to search them into enemies or get into a better position, and you don't need that high of a roll. And also sometimes you just want to have this threat of charging and to have 1 inch, 1 more speed to maneuver and bring units in position and then turn. With the new movement, you can turn 2 times if it's not a shambling, or even if you move at the double, and especially if you move at the double, you get that 1 speed that's 2 inches more, and then you still can turn. That brings interesting options to set up flanks, to set up models for the next turn, or to make the enemy worry about those units. So I think it's rather useful.
Yeah, I think it'll have its uses too, for repositioning troops and things like that. So, if you find yourself a little bit out of position, that you can kind of move them up in the background there and then get them in the right place. So I think that'll be helpful. It's situational, but definitely helpful. So also it could be useful for last minute moves for grabbing territory and things like that. And jumping between zones, I mean, that's going to be where it's going to be really helpful.
Yeah. So another command is the Cleansing Flame, which gives unit with the Flame Pound trait only, and the unit gains a Fireball N+2 with the number of successes being the N value here. Well, we now know from the Direct Misfire podcast that there's an artifact that can increase the command orders with 1 dice. So a potential 4 dice rolled on a Warlord that gives you then a Fireball 6 on a unit. On a 4+, so you should expect less, obviously. So rolling 4 dice, expecting 2 hits, so Fireball 4, but the potential Fireball 6. On units that already have Fireball, it would be rather strong, and a combined shooting phase also for a last round shooting, I think. When I say there's an almost gone unit and you just need 2 or 3 more hits to rout them, this is a rather strong command from my point of view. Mark?
Yep. I agree with you. Anything that gives you extra fireball, so is always a good thing. So, but again, that's usually closer range too. So, but no, I think it's nice. I mean, the one thing is you can tell here with the commands is that it's just not, like in order to make it happen, you roll so many 4+. This is actually using the number of 4s that you roll. So it gives you a big difference between a champion and a warlord. Because the champion rolls 2d6 and the warlord rolls 3d6. So so I like that.
Yeah, the question would be if you can give that command to a unit that already has Fireball. So if you gave them the artifact and they have Fireball and want to add Fireball on top of that, because it doesn't state that it increases the number of fireballs like the artifact does. It gains the fireball rule, so it would gain a second fireball that it can't use because it would be a second cast this turn. On the other hand, if they have the artifact and you use that on them, can you get the extra uses from the artifact because they now have fireball on that command on the reverse?
Good question.
Very good one. So things are still up in the air. So usefulness of future tactics and strategies really depends on how the rules interact on a certain level, which we don't know. So there's still interesting things to come up to read when we finally get our hands on the rulebook after release. Definitely one. So looking forward to this one. An interesting one is also Rekindle, which is a 3+, and units with the Flamebound trait only again. And the unit gains Life Leech plus N, where N is the number of successful dice rolled, which is also, again, a Warlord with an artifact getting a potential 4 dice rolled. And Life Leech 4 would be, so 3 to 4, this is rather strong, I think, and could really change how your armies grind down and how tanky your units are, especially on the high def units that we see later on. Menai, what do you think about this?
It really gives the units more sustain. You don't have the healing power compared to like a Trident Realms that have regeneration and heal spells in there, and the lifesteal, it's on a 3+ to activate it, and so it's rather possible you get a 4 lifesteal and get 4 wounds back, and on armor 5 and 6 salamanders, that's a lot of wounds that they are hard to make, and if you get rid of them, that's really bad for the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that you got to think about is what you have to keep your champion or your lord basically within 12 inches, right? In order for them to impart the command. I think that's correct from what we've heard. So it could possibly take them maybe a little out of the game. I don't know if they can use their commands if they're in combat or not. We haven't really seen that yet. But it's going to be an interesting piece here too. But anything that heals, like Menai said, anything that can heal a armor 5/6 unit is definitely going to be beneficial. So,
Yep. And the last one, Shield of
I'll
Kafola.
give you a pass on that one. I don't know. Something with a K.
Something with a Kafola. I have to say, this is like so a quick interruption here with something nerdy stuff that just a few people know. There was this thing on, I think it was Star Trek: The Next Generation, where they also run into pronunciation of new aliens introduced to the show when they read out the script the first time, and they came up with the rule that whoever reads it the first time, that way of pronunciation sticks.
Well, then we got to know what Matt Gilbert said the first time he read it, right? So
yeah. So
that's really good. Well, we asked Brandon, and sometimes he doesn't even know. So you know,
it's just
yeah. I talked to Dave. One of the things we're trying to work on actually is putting pronunciations of the names into the wiki. So similar to like when you Google something like how do you pronounce a word online, you know, and you hit the little thing and it pronounces it for you. We're trying to do that with the wiki. So we can get the official pronunciation there. So,
or at least how the designer imagined it to be pronounced. It's
something, you know, like you said, the first person to read it, that sticks. So I like that idea.
But I don't like people that sit there like, how many knots do I get in his tongue?
Yeah. That's
very true.
So
what's this command do?
This command is something special because it's so we got, for everyone who is listening to this or the other episode not being released that we don't know, we got 2 army lists to reviews, and this is the only one order that we have seen that requires 2 dice to be successful to be issued, and the units gained +1 defense to a maximum of 6+ until the start of its next turn. So more useful on a warlord, obviously, especially if you have the artifact for additionality 6. So because 46 with 4+ should give you some, at least those 2 successes more reliable. And it's, I think, with already a high defense army, this is a very strong command order. And you definitely want to have a warlord in there to cast it. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Menai.
First, for the front line, it's amazing to have 1 armor more. You're just another dwarf player here. But I really think where it can shine is you give it to Scorchwings. They only have a defense of 4, so now they go up in your flank and defense 5.
Yeah,
and that could be really, really annoying. Or also you send in a troop of Rhinosaur cavalry, just send it in and give it defense 6 and have fun with the defense 6 unit.
Yeah,
in
let the opponent have fun with them in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, and set up your army for afterwards, so you have a good next turn, because he really needs to invest to kill them.
Right. So, the other thing too is it doesn't say that it's just restricted to units, does it?
The unit gains, but
it says the unit. Does that mean
everything is a unit in Kings of War?
Yeah. So
I'm not sure if command orders go on commanders or if only other units get it. So this could be that command orders are restricted to not commander models. I think they already shown this on the blog. I'm not sure yet.
I don't remember that. So, but I was thinking about those 6+ rhinosaurs myself.
I mean, it's also an interesting option to get. To counter a possible pain chart, of course, but also this is something for the late game. Say you have a unit sitting on an objective, and you want to make sure that the opponent cannot remove it give it +1 defense and let the opponent struggle. So this is like very useful also for scenario play and not just damage in out. So, but also my impression from all these commands is this is more of a forward-looking way to play. So it's not a reactive style, but more a planning out, because you need to know which one you want to have this +1 speed, or if defense 6 the next turn is more useful when you get attacked. And also which unit do you need potential for life leech, because the unit need obviously to damage themselves. So this is it's a more strategic, planning ahead style of command orders, not something I was expecting for the Salamanders.
The thing is, in the end, you want to use all 4 commands. If you can only use one command, we don't know if you can give multiple different units the same command.
Yeah,
we don't know
Yeah,
that.
I don't think you can do
would
that
be-
one. Yeah, I think it's one. I think they can use it once, but again, we need to get the command rules. So
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but,
it's a
the
obviously it
command-
makes a big difference if units can receive multiple commands, and or if you can speak the same command twice, because like having a unit with +1 speed and +1 defense could be a very strong move in here to gain objectives, like make sure that you reach it and make sure that you last on it. If a unit can only get one command every turn, it's a little bit different on this thing in here. So yeah, so we need more details to really judge about command orders in this case, but by design that it's not. It's I would say it's a good thing. I rate this. They are very flavorful. Overall, in the level I expect them to be. If they're balanced with the other armies, we will need to wait for further reviews on different army lists to see how they compare to the other armies and what else is out there. But as we know, because we got Trident Realm as a second army as review, then not all factions get the same number of commands, and the target numbers are also different. So I think this is already tested or well tested, and the flavors not just depend on what command you get, it's on how many commands you have and how many different units are there in your army. So looking forward to see more about this one.
yeah, how are you guys feeling about commands overall compared to command dice or no command dice? So, Menai, why don't we go ahead and start with you? So,
I mean, I think the command flavor that you have generals that you command your army is a nice flavorful punkt for a rank and file game like Kings of War, that you commander can shout, get your shields up, and you get one more armor for the unit. So it's a flavorful addition. I can say it would be also a frustrating addition if the commander shouts and they don't hear it. So, and you fail that +1 defense upgrade like 3 times a game. It can be a point of desperation, even. So if you want to do it and you need that, you need them to survive, and then they don't get the command, even if you speak it with a warlord. It's 3-4 pluses. It is possible to just roll 1 to 3 on 3 dice. And yeah, it's a luck point that I think it's needed, but now it's in there.
Yeah.
Matthias,
I mean,
got some thoughts there?
it's a tricky one. I'm in general happy that we don't use command dice. Not because I didn't like command dice in general. I was just afraid of getting another different mechanic into the game that it's not used for anything else. So they are working more like spells, which is like good for streamlining and having the game unified. So I rate them much more like that unique spells on non spellcaster units, or heroes, which makes the other units obviously useful, because it was like having an additional Bane chant in the army, having additional heal, or having additional or something that cancel out opponent's Bane chant. So I think this is very nice to have in general. It's also bringing a luck component in there with a gambling effect. So those who like to have this dice rolls and count on the luck in there will really like this new mechanics and addition. Those who don't like it and want more reliable things I would say they just don't need to use them, because we're not forced to use commands at all. So they are still not that essential, at least from what I have seen, that you need to use them if you don't want to. So this is a nice addition. It's nice to have. But if you say, I don't think it's worth the time rolling this 3 dice to see if it sticks or not, or thinking about and wasting my time thinking which unit now need to get 1+1 speed, I guess it's fine to just leave them out and concentrate on other things. At least for the average player anyway. The competitive and high level player will definitely use them, but they are not on a level that you are essential to the game by itself.
Right. Well, I agree with you. They operate like spells in my mind. So your champions and your warlords are now basically casters. So 12-inch range casters with some cool spells. And so treat them. I think that it's neat that they're going to have more of a function than just charging in and holding things up or being a speed bump and getting rolled over. So that's kind of a nice thing. And I like the way the mechanic works. I like the variation too. You know, like some of them, you just need the 2 dice to be successful and you get the result. Some of them are, how many successes did you get? And it makes, you know, the impact of the order stronger or weaker depending on how many dice you roll. So, which I think is kind of cool. I wasn't a big fan of the command dice just because it's so swingy. You know, sometimes you're rolling like 13 commands and, you know, as opposed to then the next time you roll 3, you know, it was just so swingy. And, you know, this is kind of, again, we don't have the rules, but, you know, we don't know how these are assigned to a particular champion, but based on what we've seen so far, it doesn't say like our tackle has access to these commands. It doesn't say that, you know, it just says that, you know, the commands are at the top. So it's kind of like the Army special rules, like taking the place of that. And instead of getting 1 Army special rule, you're getting 4 and they're variable, you know? So yeah, I like these better than the command dice. So, and to an extent too, I would almost say, and Matthias, you and I can talk to this if Menai hasn't played Champions, but I don't know. I almost like this better than the assigning the commands in Champions. I don't know. What do you think?
I like it better for Kings of War, because this was also something I was worried about, that we just assign command orders to the units like it is in Champions. But for Champions itself, I prefer the system with the 3 command orders on the 3 units, or holding them back for the rerolls, because this is something like for the entry level game, for new gamers who are not familiar with war games, this is the easier decision making, less dice rolled, make a quicker game in that regard. But I don't think the Champions mechanic fit well into Kings of War, because this would still be like too simple for what the players expect the game to be.
Right. I agree with that. So plus on top of that, you get some more variation in Kings. Like, you know, if you're doling out the commands and one of them fails, your plan has changed, you know, whereas in Champions, it's going to happen. You get that command. Okay. So in this one, you're not so positive. Yeah. It's not a sure thing. So it's kind of like casting Bane Chant, you know.
Yeah.
It's not a sure thing.
Yeah, it's like the old Bane Chant 2 on a mage. It happen or may not. On average, it should, but don't expect it and always plan for the fail. So this is like So for a game like Kings of War that is on the next level, you would say, also playing like the older kids and not the very young ones, this is something to learn for planning ahead and what to expect and calculate your things if you want it that way. So I really like it. So I was a little bit afraid that they just take the champions route and just you add the command orders like a token and think, because that would have been too simple in my opinion for a tactical game in that way.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So let's switch to the Khan library, which salamanders have a unique spell. It's called Smolder. 3 can be once per army, and with an 18-inch range, and the units get a Smolder marker for each success. And if the target unit starts its turn engaged or receives a charge order, any smolder marker is removed. If there's still one left at the end of the turn, it immediately suffers d6 damage, which no nerf test required. That's an interesting one because it basically forces your opponent to charge one of your units, especially if there are more markers on them. Like if you really roll 3 successes and there are 3 markers on a unit with a potential of 18 damage caused, unless the unit charges. This is an interesting one to get the opponent into a combat you want to have. Mina, what do you think?
I'm just reading through the text, and I'm not sure if you get multiple markers. If any hits are scored, you get one. You place one marker.
I put one smolder. Okay.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
how
I'm
I
getting
read
old
that.
now. Put a smolder marker next to the unit. Okay, it could be. Yeah, that's on me. It would be a single one, not
It's turn engaged.
Not 3. If any hits are scored instead of causing damage, put a smolder marker next to the target unit. Yeah, would be a single one, I think, not multiple ones. So only d6 damage in not.
Yeah, and the marker will be removed if it starts engaged or it receives a charge. So that's a spell you put on a unit. You don't want to interact this turn. So because if they're not charged or not in combat, when they start their next turn, they take d6 damage. I think it's an interesting spell because you can put that on really high armor targets. If they have armor 6, they still just take d6 damage, and you maybe don't want to charge the armor 6 unit there, and you're just gonna block it, place some chaff in front of it, so don't charge it directly, just block it. Place that spell on it, and it takes 1d6 damage next after your turn, basically. I mean, it's interesting to bypass armor, but I don't know how useful this spell will be in gameplay. You need to pick it up and play it. Otherwise, I can't determine it if it will be good or not. It can also be what army you play against. If you play against an army where you have units where 6 damage really hurt, or if you just have an army where the nerf is anyway around 17, 18 high, so you can't fireball them next turn, and those extra wounds don't help you. Or if the enemy has a lot of heal or regeneration, it would be wasted. So really, really situational spell there. But I like the idea around that spell, especially with the bypass on armor.
Yeah. Mark, what do you think?
Well, It's interesting. It's actually a spell that, usually everything takes place in your turn and then your opponent's turn.
Mhm.
This one hangs over because it's in the next turn. So the target unit starts engaged or receives a charge order, the marker's removed. So you're basically forcing the opponent to engage in some way, shape, or form. So they could get rid of it. I don't know. I agree with Menai. It's a good way to get maybe get some dink damage on some high armor units, but I don't know. I don't think I'd take it. So, how about you, Matthias?
Yeah, I mean, I need to play games with it to check if it's how situational it really is. Like it might be sounding good on paper, but then you hardly ever use it, or it doesn't sound good at all, and then you find it very useful after you played some games with it. So I need to really test it. But it's like I see some possibilities in there again for the late game. Like you have a unit sitting on a mission objective that already has some damage in there, especially if you have the last turn. So in turn 5, cast it on that unit, and he either need to get off the objective to charge you to get rid of the marker, or suffers d6 damage. And if you roll high enough, it's easy. You can shoot the unit dead in your last turn, in turn 6 then, following that one. Because shooting only route if the unit is devastated. So in this case, any extra damage could help. So this is something later gameplay. Also, while in the early gameplay, to get a unit out of the battle line of the opponent to get in front of you, or again suffer damage that you later can easier route it with shooting. So situational. I agree with Menai.
Yep.
If it's worth 20 points, I need to test it in game to check and see how this one works out.
One point we need to mention on that point, because you mentioned the late game abilities. The damage from the spell doesn't cause a nerf test. So
yeah,
I think that's big too. Yeah, definitely.
Because it's in there. Because the damage happened in the opponent's turn. So if you cast that one in your last turn, it's not useful at all. So like if the opponent has the last turn, and casting it on d6 won't change anything at all. Yeah. So
yeah, situational is the I guess the way we're gonna label it. And I don't know. Would you take this over Bane Chant?
Yeah, so I don't know. Bane Chant 2, I mean, it's a lie. But in the end, Bane Chant gives you like 3 wounds, 4 wounds, depends a bit on how many attacks you have and how much armor the enemy has. But in the end, it's about the same wounds, but you don't have it in the nerf test. You're rolling that round. The enemy has a chance to mitigate that damage. I think Bane Chant brings you more results faster in. So it will be felt in that round you cast Bane Chant, and Smolder would be the next round you get the effect of that spell. Yeah, so I think Bane Chant would be the better option.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see it in action and see. So
yeah, okay. So let's move over to the core units, or the units in general. As already said, the stats in details are on the Tales from the Warriors Hall podcast. So my question to you guys is now, is there anything in there that was surprising for you to be in core, or were this those units you expected to see there? Mark?
I was a little surprised to see the Ember sprites in core, to be honest with you. I guess they're really auxiliary, but I was a little surprised to see them there, actually. The auxiliaries kind of, I don't know if that should get its own separate category or what, but the troops all get the auxiliary tag. So maybe it'd be worth it, Matthias, to throw up the army building diagram there so we can kind of talk a little bit about core and auxiliary, because all of the core units have an auxiliary version of them. And except for Ember Sprites, they're always auxiliary because they're always a troop. So, yeah. So you have to take at least 2 core, and then you've got the auxiliary, so 1 for each core unit. So you're not taking an Ember Sprite unless you have a core unit already taken. So, which is interesting. So they're really technically not core, so to speak. So, so that's what surprised me with them being there a little bit. The Lancers, I think, is kind of cool. You can have a mounted army. It gives you the opportunity to do it. So, I thought it was an okay selection, from that standpoint. So, Menai, what'd you think?
I think before we need to talk about the core selections and everything, we need to spoiler the warlords and the commanders. We have in the Salamanders 5 warlords and commanders that move units around, that move units from specialists to core, that move units around. So they don't stay where they are. You have a great flexibility to move them around.
This changes a lot, because when you can move the core around, there are some surprising units I didn't expect in core by taking the specific warlords. So unit shifting always 1 slot down. So warlord who can shift a support unit to specialist, or a specialist unit into core. I haven't seen anything that changes support into core for now. So I think this is always just the single upgrade or downgrade in the battalion structure. The interesting point is we have a champion who can change the slots. This is the first time I have seen and heard about that thing. So this is a unique champion, Artacle. It's a Geckodan 1, and he moves the Geckodan hunters into the core. So you would have 2 Geckodan core unit choices now, with a meal option and a shooting option. So if one wants to go a full Geckodan army, this would be an interesting one, because in addition, you still can have a warlord who also moves another unit into cores, and this changes the whole army structure completely up, because you can have now with another unique character. So let's talk a little bit about our warlord choices now when we already covered. So we have the generic clan lord, which can be mounted on a Kaisernoraptor, and it moves hordes, a regiment and hordes of ceremonial guard in his battleland to core choices. So no troops, that will still be a specialist, but getting the ceremonial guard horde back into core would be, I think it's a great news for all those players who already built the armies around those, to still have a legal army to play without needing to additional units. What do you guys think about this option?
Yeah, that's one of the options I was thinking about when you asked me about core units, because with him, the ceremonial guard is a really strong core unit you want to have in core. It unlocks now. You can fill your core slots up with them, and you have a super sturdy center of the army where you can build around. So I think it's a great option. Also, the clan lord has rallying, so you increase your nerf by 1. That's also pretty strong. And he's a good fighter in general from the stats. So yeah, it's a pretty good model, and if you like those ceremonial guard phalanx center pieces there, he will see play. Let's take it like that. So he's a really good option. Also not too expensive. Only 155 points for a warlord. That's a cheap grab.
Mark,
Right. Yeah, give him that. Yeah, give him the item that gives you 4 dice on the commands, and he can cast that shield command on the ceremonial guard, which jumps him up to defense 6. That's very interesting. So, and I think that was a good call. I mean, jumping back to the champions and the warlords, because they do have impact on the way your core auxiliary, etc. So, which is pretty cool. So, but I'm almost thinking, boy, is every army going to have a clan lord in it? So
I don't think so, because the other options are good too, because like on our clan lord on Fire Drake moves your Rhinosaur cavalry from into specialist choices now, which makes them much more interesting for the other support units you have.
Right. And they won't be fighting with the fire elementals and the scorch wings and stuff for a slot. So
yeah. And so you can spend, and with the clan lord on the Fire Drake, you can really spam, and you can put in 4 Rhinosaur cavalry and have the unlocks for phoenixes or fire elementals.
Right.
That's getting expensive.
It's getting expensive. That's true. It's pretty elite. But.
But you have, so we will come back to the core, but you have like Gekkotar warriors in the regiment for 80 points apiece. You just slam that in the core and put the Rhinosaur cavalry in specialist, and you have your unlocks.
I mean, that's an interesting one, because the Gekkotans are the cheapest core unlock with the regiment, with a nerf of 14 and 18 points. They have Pathfinder and Vicious, so it's a good option to put them into terrain, so they are not with defense 3 not too vulnerable for charges in general. But you can get, so when you really go into the expensive options for support and specialist, you can have the cheap core unlocks, which is a nice thing to do.
And you can just send them in and protect the flanks of the Rhinosaur, so they don't get the flank charge. And the Rhinosaur cavalry stands in there with armor 6, and you can't flank them, you can't double charge them, you just have them in your face and around the warriors as protection.
Yeah. Mark, how many Rhinosaurs do you like to have?
Oh, boy. Well, I have to print them. I was going to buy some, and I said, you know what? I'm going to wait for them to come in the vault. So how many do I want? A whole bunch of them. But probably 2 troops of them at least. I kind of like the models. So I'd like to have them. I've not yet painted any, like I said. So they came on the vault, and they've got the bases are part of the model. So I got to find a way to get those shaved off and re-supported so I could do it without the bases. So
right.
So I haven't worked those out yet. That's what stopped me from printing them right away. So if they didn't have the integral base, I would have printed them out, like right away. So, but I'll have to work on that. The more I look over this list, the more excited I get about it, just because it's a digital release, and we'll talk more about that coming up. So, but how about you guys?
On the point of Rhino Riders, I think we also should look on the battle captain to have the whole Rhinosaur completed, I think.
Right, because the battle captain still can be mounted on a Rhinosaur like before, but he also has now the option for a Kaisanor Raptor, which is standard cavalry. So if you want to go full into a Rhinosaur themed army, you would use the battle captain, of course, also on a Rhinosaur to get the support. So this looks like to get, I mean, this is also where the Kaiserner Lancers in the core choice coming in, because you can go into a full cavalry themed army with those units. This is really something like I didn't expect that to be seen, because like full cavalry armies were always how to say, nasty in the past, but now with sticky combat, these are really just those Alpha Strike armies where say, if you get stuck in combat, you may have a problem now. But it's a nice possibility. Also, wouldn't makes a nice theme. So I'm really looking forward on how the Kaiserner Raptor in general looks like, and how well it fits into the army.
Right.
But
well,
going
that's
forward,
one of the things that we have too is we've seen the new stats, we've looked at them, we're starting to absorb them, but we know what they were in third edition. So when you look at it, you go, oh, you kind of know its capabilities, or its capabilities in third. So you're kind of, writing that over it right now and making that assumption. And, so it'll be interesting to see how it translates onto the actual tabletop. So
yeah, the first 6 months after the game is released will be wild anyway, because everyone will try out whatever it is, and we will see what sticks in the end, and things going crazy. So like this is like the most exciting part of a new edition is when everyone starts experimenting with things like that, and everyone tries to find their right style about it. So this is getting interesting. And the next Warlord, which is a unique one, it's the Firebrand, which was a Vanguard mercenary model. And this one also adds in the aura for Corsairs, which get the elite trait. And it doesn't mention meal or range, so I guess for both. And it regiments of Corsairs being a core choice. So this is now getting so finally, I think we should say it's still possible to get your full pirate themed Salamander army. The big question is if they are going to be worth now be taken, because you have the taking the regiment as a core choice and the troops as specialist is an option. And this is the regiment with 15 plus nerf, 114 points is also reasonable cheap unlock for the core units. Mark, rhinosaurs or pirates? It's getting tricky now.
I'm going rhinosaurs. I just think they're cooler. So, a bunch of lizards running around with pirate hats, not my jam. I'll take the big thundering rhinosaurs crunching people underneath their giant, I don't know if I call them hooves, but, just grinding them into dust, as opposed to black powder pirate themed lizards. Not, I don't think I would do that. I would like to have a little ambush army for them, So, but yeah. How about you, Menai? What do you think?
Yeah, I think in the smaller games, it would be a really fun option to have him, because they have aura for the elite aura for shooting and melee. So you can just shoot and then hit them if they hit you. So I think that would be fun in smaller games. But I don't see myself building a 2,000, 2,300 points themed pirate list. I have so many other options, and I like to play competitive, and I don't think the pirates will stand the way.
I mean, we have to keep in mind that when things get expensive, we are talking here then on tournament level 2,300, 2,500 points, whatever the new point value will be settled in, and also 2,000 points for the common casual player, but also like the 1,000 points, 1,500 points, or 750 points lists are interesting. And you're not going to take Clan Lord on Fire Drake on a 750 points list with its 300 points, because this is not an option. So like having a small 750 points Corsair pirate themed list for ambush games, and if you want to go big, you go with the big guys. This is it's a nice option for those who play small or just want to have a small force about this one. The next warlord is also a unique one again. So the last three are all unique. And this is Harath, a Flame Splitter, which adds regiments of fire elementals as core choices. So you also got Relling, Fireball 4 is an individual with Iron Resolve, a hero infantry option. So you can also have a full fire-themed army.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting interesting now because your fire elementals are still shambling. They are fearless and vicious. The regiment comes with 17 nerf on 205 points. So there's, I think they were 200 before, a small increase, but it's an interesting one because again, with Scorch Wings and Phoenixes out there, you can go for a full fire-themed army if you want to. The question is, do we want to do that, Menai?
I think so. I've looked over the list and I have some list ideas. And I've built a list with Fireball 20 in it. So you have 20 fireballs you can throw at the enemy. Just a reminder, Fireball is now D3 blast damage.
Blast
so
D3,
that
yeah.
are potentially 60 wounds. And that's a lot. And then you can so if you get like half of that through it, it's still 30 wounds.
It hurts.
And then you shuffle your fire elementals into those units you've just hit with fireballs. So
yeah,
get down there, fireballs coming, and now the elementals are moving up. Also with the Scorch Wings and the Phoenixes, you also have shown some shooting to support that and shuffle them in. So I think that will be a fun list.
Mark,
there you go. I'm sitting here building a pirate list real quick.
Mistakes were made.
Well, I can get 4 regiments of the Corsairs plus, our warlord. So you can get 5 points left over. So toss on a little unit. There you go. That's a perfect little ambush army. Okay, back to
Okay.
Yeah, so back to the fire. Yeah, fire's cool. I was listening, just multitasking. But no, fire's definitely awesome. I've got a bunch of fire elementals here, so, and not to mention tossing a Phoenix in there too. He's nice and fiery. So I mean, it's interesting that you can build these themed lists out of what they have available to you in here. And one of the things they tried to do was take out spamming units. So I just spammed 4 Corsair units there, right? So, but so I don't know if mission was totally accomplished, but
I don't think so.
It's cool that you can put the themes together, though. I like it. I might do that too. We're gonna have to build a bunch of ambush armies.
So, and the last 2 warlords are Rakwas and Yalta'a. Both unique, and neither of those changes your core unit choices. It would have been a little bit too much with those. So it's an interesting one. We got a rather big amount of unique warlords in there. So which means taking 2 battalions to double down on them isn't really an option. So outside of the clan lords and the clan lord on Fire Drake. So I'm not sure if it's worth it to take 2 battalions to get an additional warlord with them, unless you really want to unlock your different core choices for the units. But then with 2 battalions, you already get enough slots to spam those units. So from this impression, but it's also makes some unique themes in there. I mean, Salamanders never had a theme list in that case in the past, but now we get some very strong themes in there. Like you can go full Geckodan, you can go Rhinosaur or Cavalry heavy, you can go full Pirate heavy, you can Flame heavy. So I think, what do you guys think? Is this the better option with shifting choices over the old theme lists, or how do we rate this one? Mark?
Well, formations are gone, so you lose that little bit of theme, so to speak. So I like the themey idea. I'll say I'm all for that. So Menai, what do you got?
I like that you have to think on what kind of army you're building. You pick your warlord, and then you have like a whole army of fire elementals or a full cavalry. I think that looks good on board, and there will be the different armies around. So if you have two players in your club and both play salamanders, they don't need to play the same lists. The one says, "Oh, I like the fire elementals," and the other one says, "Oh, I like the rhino riders." These are complete different lists with different units. They're basically two different armies, and I like that point a lot. So you don't have that mirrors with oh, you need to take this and this, and then like 1,500 points of the army are locked into this and the rest is flavor. No, you go from your warlord, your core, he changes your core choices, and the whole army looks different. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that the regular salamanders, like the unblooded and the primes and stuff, you think they'll get overlooked by all the other cool options? Because like, ooh, I can do pirates, or ooh, I could do, all fire.
I don't think so, because you can take a regiment of Salamander's Prime for 125 points. That's a cheap unit. And they're flamebound. You can stick a fireball on them with the command. And also, my fireball army also requires to have some flamebound units in them to trigger some effects on other champions. We come to them later. So you need some flame-bound units there
for some of the effects. Yeah. So this is an interesting one. So you really need to think ahead what army you want to build based on your unit choices, your strategies you have, and also the effects you want to trigger. And what else? So yeah, I think they will be overlooked at first once people figure out what they really want to play. So those who came from third edition, who still go into their elite units of ceremonial guard, which have multiple units of rhinosaurs and things like that, and the cool elemental armies we have seen before. So those will definitely overlook them like at first. But I might be coming back. It's also Salamander Unblooded being a Berserker-style unit as a core choice, which is an interesting point. So that they are like also cheap regiments with 110 points, flame-bound, wild charge, and 15 attacks on the regiment. This can be, I think they can do their job in the right themed army, but it's like a themed army. You build around the combined arms you want to figure out what to do. So yeah, it's interesting. So let's look into the champions, where all options except the unique ones are limited to 2 per battalion. So you can have 2 mage priests, 2 battle captains, 2 heralds, 2 clutch wardens, and 2 Geckodan skylords. The mage priests add fireball 5, Banechan 3, or heal 3, and also are your source for surge if you play with shambling units. And they have the special rule with for the fire, while within 6 inches of a friendly unit with the flamebound trait, this unit has the elite ranged special rule for any non-arcane library spells to cast. So this changes a lot how you cast your fireballs, your bane chance, and your surge, obviously, because rerolling once makes things much more reliable. This is where your Salamander Primes came in. If you want to take the 2 mages, you want to have them close to your Flamebound units, so you take the Flamebound core choices. Right. Mark, worth taking 2 or just 1?
Well, I'm thinking ambush size, so
1.
yeah, 1. Yeah, you have one champion, right? So I've seen 2 taken, but I don't know. The thing I also I'm looking at this, so I'm interested to see if we're going to get with the STL release all the options. You know what I mean? To see if he's mounted on a Raptor or not. So I'm thinking about that because that also gives him some speed and that gives him a little different, type of utility,
Yeah.
for using that fuel for the fire, flamebound trait and all that for the elite, and for his fireball, it definitely gives him a little different thing. Not that you can't do that now, but it'd just be cool to have a better, cooler model. So, but I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you. So I'm going to pass.
Now, yeah. So everything that we have now is a little bit limited on model restriction. If an option or a unit doesn't have a model, it gets less taking, obviously, until people find something that they can use it in the way. So this is also what the new release will change, as previous lists played being a little bit more limited on model choices or on the options we have, and with this being different now, so people start to think ahead. What is it worth taking the new units, or before you print out those new released units, is it worth to be taking and things? So development is going on in a different way, obviously, than with other armies that already have all their choices.
Right. It oddly enough, that is a barrier to taking a particular unit, is if it's not available as a model. If you're not a kit basher and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. That's a great point too.
So we already covered a little bit on the Battle Captain, which is now the options for a Kaisenoraptor or a Rhinosaur. Nothing else being special about it. The Rhinosaurus also gains the Brutal 1 and Fearless 1. So we get taking a Battle Captain with Brutal is an interesting choice because it adds to the other combats as well. So still a strong choice, even if you don't take Rhinosaurs at all in general and just want to have a battle support hero. Mina, what do you think?
That on the Rhinosaur, the Battle Captain got really expensive. He's now at 180 points to 140 before, so he got really expensive. But yeah, with the Brutal, that +1 on the nerf test, it's always
+2
a tipping point.
It goes from 13 to 15. That's
Yeah, that's a nice point to have with the Brutal. And he's also mobile on a Rhinosaur, so he gets the speed 7, he can get around, get the commands, and help out in battle where he's needed. I still think he's a solid choice. But if you really just want him for speed and inspiring, you just take the Raptor. That's 15 points, so he's on 130. He doesn't get Brutal, but he has more speed and will be better to dash out commands. And he can still contribute wounds. He's crushing 2. Only 3 attacks. That's a bit sad.
Yeah, with Rhinosaur, it gets 6 attacks, so this is also something that to consider if you really want to have it as a battle hero. The Rhinosaurus is the much better option, despite being more expensive in here, while it's other more of a support hero with the Raptor. Right. The next one is an interesting choice because the Herald, so your usual army standard bearer, with 95 points, rather expensive, can be mounted on a Kaisenoraptor, and we have only the very inspiring special rule. He is also crushing 1, individual and yielding, but it don't really matter for his role on the battlefield. With all the auras being gone and now replaced with command orders, worth taking for the very inspiring and issuing out command orders, or do you think it's too expensive or too niche of a role, or just something you again take in ambush lists to support your small units? Mark.
Yeah, thinking about that, I don't know. He's only got 1 attack, so in ambush, you usually got to throw your champions into battle. So just because you don't have that many units, so I don't know how effective he would be. I think you're right. He seems just your gut feel is that he's too expensive for what he does. He's only got he is a mobile command throwing machine. Crushing strength 1's great, but he's only got 1 attack. And he's also a yielding individual, so he's going to get mowed over. And very inspiring is cool. So, yeah, I mean, middling to me. I think it's exciting because he's got the Salamander clan symbol next to his army entry, which means we're getting a new model. So, which I think is going to be pretty cool. So, what do you think, Menai?
Yeah. For me, he's also too expensive. With no aura or not even a spellcaster. What does he do? I mean, you can stick an artifact on him, but we know the loot is gone. So what do you stick on him? Fireball 3? I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. What's his role in the army? It's nice to have it was nice to have a standard bearer in the old armies. They had nice effects for the whole army, ultimately very inspiring.
They were
but
cheaper.
now they're out of luck. They just lost their job, I think.
Yeah, it's tricky now. I don't really see a point for those kind of heroes now, especially that we are limited to 4 per battalion. But also, I'm not sure how important inspiring or very inspiring will be in 4th edition, because now it also helps against waiver and not just route, which is something that we have no experience with, because we don't know how much waiver will be with the shooting armies, if this is really nice to have this very inspiring bubbles somewhere around, while your battle heroes are usually advanced with the forward facing units where they want the command gets out. So, but a slot for an attack 1 hero with 95 points just to get a little bit more inspiring, I don't know yet. I think the first games will show if this is still an option or not, or if something else is needed to get him in.
Yeah, I'd love him at 50 points. So,
yeah,
good low. He's battling with the Mage Priest for lowest option as a choice for throwing the commands. So,
yeah,
but a battle captain's only 115. Boy, would you rather have a battle captain or would you rather have a herald?
Yeah. Especially with the mage being also inspiring as well, also yielding. So, I mean, you have to pay extra for the spell, so it will be more expensive. But like
if you
adding
stick an artifact
heal for 15 points already makes him a better option than the herald. Just for the direct comparison, Orpho is a little bit more expensive than the in the point. So okay. We will see what the first games and things will bring. Yep. So the next one is the Geckodan Clutch Warden. And this is then now something that was mentioned prior when heroes unlock unit sizes, because any Geckodan warriors hordes in this battalion may be upgraded to a legion, gaining 5 attacks, nerf 27 plus, and with a base size of 200 by 120 for 30 points. Well, is it worth to be a legion to be taken, Mark?
Yet to be seen. The one thing is, I'm kind of sad legions are still around. I just think they're too big, but
Yeah.
I was sad to see that actually. So, we'll see. I don't know. I really don't. I would an all Gekata army be cool? I think so. I think that's a horde type of option you could do with this. So, you could have a couple of legions of Gekata warriors on the table. That's a pretty big footprint. So, 27 nerves, nothing to laugh at. But and but I mean they're fighting probably with a melee 5+, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but I mean it's going to be throwing out quite a bit of attacks too. So, I don't know. I they also have got the blowpipe, or the heroes got the blowpipes, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Menai, I'm going to punt. What do you think?
I mean it could be fun. I mean what's also is to mention is you want to put him in a Gekota theme armor because he's only inspiring to get Gekota.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take him, you want to have more than the Legion. You really want the theme armor, army. The armor. Yeah. Sorry. And I think then he's worth it. You can't just pop in the big Legion and say, yeah, don't go there. It's off limits. We're big here. We're big here.
Yeah, I mean it depends. We need to see. We don't know yet how scenarios changed and what scenarios are there. If legions are really an option, because they are really big, they are hard to play. At least it's nice to still have the option for those who want to do those kind of things. But at the moment, without knowing how the scenarios is, I find legions also too big and too hard to maneuver on the table to be really useful. But maybe there are some scenarios out there, but this is a good option to play. And with a full Gekodan themed army, some people may love this and show us what's worth it with those large units. Okay, so the next one would be the Gekodan Skylord. And nothing special on him, just the usual flying, inspiring, thunderous 1, vicious, and fire sparks 18-inch. So again, I think for a Gekodan army, your champion of choice if you don't want to have the Legion-sized ones. But in general, a flying hero with 4 attacks, melee 3+. Not sure if I would take this one compared to a battle captain outside of a theme army. Menai.
I mean, he's shooting on 2+ with his 4 attacks because he has 3+ on the lineup.
On shooting,
and and he can shoot 18 inches. So if you just stand still, he shoots on 2+. It's only 4 attacks with no piercing. I don't know about that, but it's still shooting there. I think you just want him to have a mobile command order with speed 10 and fly. You can really bring them on. Yeah. And then he still shoots on 3+, but he has no piercing on his shooting. I don't know how useful those 4 attacks would be.
Yeah. On the upside, he's not inspiring, right?
No, he is inspiring.
Oh yeah, but he's not restricted inspiring.
Yeah, he's not restricted inspiring, right?
That's the good news. So you can move him around as a mobile source of dropping inspiring where you need it. So I mean, he's much more expensive than your Herald, but he's kind of handy for that. You know what I mean? So, because he's 165 points versus 95, so you're paying for that mobility, but that could be.
And he at least has shots he's not completely useless as the Herald with his one attack in melee.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
He can
That's a
do
really
something.
good point.
Yeah. He also with Pathfinder, so you can use the mobility in terrain to move around and things like that. So I think this is like, to be a more expensive, inspiring bubble that is a little bit more flexible with terrain compared to some other choices. So it would have its place. We will see what other people build a list around that one. And the
Right.
last two champions are unique ones, and we have Ardakel, which we already covered a little bit. He moves the Gekutan Hunters to core choices. He is a Duelist 2 unit, individual, inspiring, Pathfinder, Scout, Slayer 3, Stealthy Visions, has a blowpipe with Piercing 1. So this is with 5 attacks. This is your hunting hero, so to say.
Yeah, he's kind of your forest type of situation,
Yeah.
where you have them going through, and you've got the hunters with you, and you've got Artaco leading the way, and they kind of like a savage, feral type of Gekata that are out there. It could be a kind of a cool theme army to work on. So, absolutely.
Yeah, and for 180 points, I think he's a solid choice, even if you don't play the other Gekko-clan units. He's good in melee with the Slayer. He has his blowpipe. He can contribute to range attacks. So he's a hero who can help out everywhere on the battlefield. Everywhere you place him, he has something to do and can do something.
Yeah, I like him. So he's just cool, from that standpoint. He's got that, stealthy scout, Slayer, vicious. He's got all the things.
He's got everything. So. It's like this is your Rambo in Vietnam style.
Yeah,
that's it. He's even green and got all the war paint on, So he's we should rename him Rambo. There you go, Matthias. You hit right on.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. And the last unique hero got some big bunch of special rules. It's Mark, how we pronounce it?
Zeke. So, yeah, this is going to be your champion in Champions. I'm really hoping that we're going to be getting our first Champions STL only release. I think Zake's the man for this. Mark Barber is the one that did all the background for the Salamanders. His son designed this character. So I really think that he's going to be hitting the realm of Champions. And so I'm excited about that. So it'd be very interesting. He's also got all the things. So,
Yeah. I mean, he has this. So what we have seen from the army list from the other Kings of War champions that moved over to Kings of War, so the amount and speciality of the special rules fits in. He has Fireball 6, Bane Chant. His Fireball has a special rule for piercing 1 for each friendly unit with the elemental trait within 6 inches. Sake increases the amount of dice rolled with non-arcane library spells by 1. To a maximum of 2, and while within 6 inches of a friendly unit with the flame-bound trait, this unit has the elite range special rule for non-arcane library spells. So it's a caster-style champion, and just by this alone, it really very much looks like to be a champion's boxed game hero. Well, if we get an STL released Champions box, this will also be something new to the Champions games and an interesting option for those who want to start Kings of War with 3D printing an army, because now they have an option to join there as well instead of just being able to buy the boxes. For everyone else, it will really get interesting how this print of demand service from Mantic is going to work out in 4th edition to have access do the Salamander Champions box, if there is one. We don't know yet. We have no further information, just speculation on our side, but it really looks heavy into that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could be looking at the tip of the spear here for Mantic releases. With that print on demand service, you brought that up. That's going to be very interesting. It's kind of like inventory on demand. Just in time inventory that was hot with the Japanese inventory system back a couple decades ago now. But just in time inventory, they're going to have it there. When I was there for Clash this past year, I saw the setup that they have. I didn't go to the auxiliary building to see what they have over there still, where the regular resin casting was, but from what I remember the building from my 2023 visit, they didn't seem to have room for more 3D printers, but they could always ditch the current resin and then they could replace that room with a 3D print on demand. And I wonder how that would go, but it's certainly the future. But I'm looking forward to this model, and I'm looking forward to seeing, like I said, the reaction and things like that for champions, especially. So,
I mean, thinking also, if you mark this print on demand service, if they have a printing service center or partner in the US, they could get around the tariffs that way. So this is also something to keep in mind on how those things turn out in future. So to better supply the local or the different regions out in the world. I think Ronnie mentioned this always also in one of the other podcasts, that getting stuff down to South America, to Australia or to Asia is always something tricky and difficult. So this is like having a local printer who can print out those Mantic models for local prices would be an interesting option, and see how this will spread the game further.
Absolutely. Now, Mantic is using I don't want to say proprietary resin. They're using a really high-end resin to do this type of printouts, like especially for like Epic Warpath and things like that. So it's really cool. And it's just amazing the quality of it. I was able to go through there with Walt and look at a bunch of the models that came off the printer after they've been cleaned and prepped and ready to be bagged, and the quality is fantastic. So they really do a nice job with that resin. So now you won't have that possibly if they're going to the US or something like that, unless they require those printers to use that special type of resin. And it's more expensive, so you're going to see an expense there as well. So
yeah, I mean it's a tricky one, because if you go with partners, you need this quality control and things like that into, because it can also hurt your reputation fast if your partner printers ditch out bad models and don't go up to your required quality, just to save on money and things like that. So this is something that they need to find someone they really trust to get out the right models with the right resin and the right quality, because even if you ship locally, you still ship the models, and which can then break and need replacement parts and things like that. So this need to be kept in mind as well. So this is going to be a very interesting in 4th edition how this thing works out.
Yeah, especially the other thing too is the unit cards that you need for champions. Are they just going to be PDFs online, which we have not seen yet for champions, but it could give people an opportunity to do that? Or will they control it? They're not going to be printing those on site in Chile, for instance. So, that's not going to happen. So that's the interesting thing too, because we do get the unit cards in the companion. And so I'm interested to see if this will spark the companion. I think from their standpoint, they'd have to put it behind the paywall and not have it open, because they're trying to sell the books and do all that stuff. So I don't think you would get that one for free. I think you would have to sign up for the companion for sure in order to get access to all that stuff. So very interesting. You got some very interesting choices they're going to have to make very soon.
Yeah. So going to ditch back into the units now again. So for our specialist choices. We have the ceremonial guard, which already was mentioned. We also have the ancients there, which have no picture in the PDF we got. So this is something that will get different on new models. We have the Corsays there. We have the Gekudan Hunters, again without picture. The Tyrants and the Fire Elementals as Trooper Regiment choices. So this is like what more or less was expected to be in the Specialist choice. Any surprises here for you guys, Menai?
One of the surprises is that the Ancient lost Inspiring and got Rallying instead. I think that's a big change. It doesn't make them less valuable. So to have that +1 on your nerf roll is still a good investment to have one ancient troop in there. But you can't rely on them for inspiring. You need to pick champions or warlords for that.
Mark, something for you.
Yeah, well, that's a big loss, actually. That the inspiring's not there anymore. So the other thing is, I'm going through that with the support is, boy, there's a lot of units that people would take as core that are kind of like in here, kind of like the Tyrants and Fire Elementals. I think people are going to be fighting for space. Which one am I going to pick? There's going to be definite winners and losers from that standpoint once people start shaking the lists out. I think that's it. So I don't think that there's anybody that's making Tyrants core, so I love those models. I think they're super cool. I'm going to want to have them in an army, but we'll have to see how they work out. So
the specialist slots are pretty easy to unlock because for every core you get one specialist. So you have slots for them. Also the Fire Elementals, you could put Fire Elementals in core and unlock Tyrants with them, and you could play Tyrants and Fire Elementals together.
Yep, that's true.
Take the warlord for it. Also the Ceremonial Guard, I think everyone who wants to play the Ceremonial Guard will put them in the core, I think.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is your usual. You get the ceremonial horde as a core option, and then take the ancients as regiment in the specialist to support him. This is something that we will see for those more elite style lists. It's would be an expensive core choices, obviously, but if you are into those heavy armored, elite, slow moving armies, it's definitely those options. An interesting one for me at least is also the Gekudan Hunters, which have blowpipes or bows with vicious ranged on the bows for 5+ or +10 points for Trooper Regiment, and they have the feigned special rules with Pathfinder, Scout, Stealthy, and vicious on the blowpipes as well. So this is like, was this the? No, there's another feint but in the support. So this is your one feint, like the light cavalry style unit where you can harass and shoot your opponent to make advantage of this new withdraw rule that you can now withdraw without taking a nerf test, and then shoot again with a clean withdraw. So this is like an interesting choice now that wasn't really there before. Also no picture. So expect new units in there. So this might be also something that gets people interesting in to try out with how the new rules interact to get new models for it that they haven't seen before. So, okay. Let's move on to support units. There's the how to say, the Scorch Wings are there where you expected them. So everyone who was previously going heavy into Scorch Wings, playing Scorch Wing only units or more than 4 of them, will now have a hard time because they're limited to 4 unit choices, with either being Trooper Regiment, also Feint, Fly, Pathfinder, and Thunderers, with the Elemental trait. Then we got the Rhinosaur Cavalry, also I mentioned before, the Greater Flyer Elemental that is limited to 2, the Lechelidon, as before, the Commodon that is limited to 2, the Gecko the Slasher, and the Phoenix that is limited to 2 per battalion. So those are all your heavy, large units, with the Lechelidon and the Slasher being the ones you would take multiple of those. Like if you want to take more than one Rhinosaur Cavalry, you obviously would go with the specialist choice in here, with taking the Slasher Warlord. Mark, how would you think about the Scourge Wing be limited to 4 units maximum now?
Well, it's kind of like the other units. Cores are kind of limited that way too, right? If you think about it. So for me, the thing I was hoping to see is that units were limited to 3 each to help stop with spamming. So
yeah,
that's kind of the one thing I'm thinking about. And, again, it's going to be interesting to see how you can build lists and things like that. So I have not sat down with paper and pen and tried to build a whole bunch of lists out of this quite yet. I was looking forward to having this conversation, and then I was going to do it. But again, in my comment for before, it seemed like the parking lot, kind of with the specialist units, I'm going to stand corrected. Menai, it's, this one's probably even more jammed up than the other one, So this one's definitely more jammed up as far as, are you going to take, look at the units you got in there, the Phoenix, you just look at that right out of the gate and it's like, oh, okay.
And you only have 4 slots in them, and you need 8 core or specialist units to unlock all unlock
all 4,
all 4. So the Lycodon is the real loser in this bracket for me. You just would use him as a keep cuff before that, and now he is still a keep cuff unit, but he contests the slot for the important units like Fire Elementals or Phoenix. I mean, you can say you put 2 Phoenix and 2 Lycodons in, but what does the rest of the army do? You can't take Scorchwing, you can't take Rhinosaur. You maybe can take Rhinosaur if you move them to support.
Specialist.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely on the landlord there. So, yeah.
I mean, this is now we are getting a theme in here now, because if you take your clan lord to get the ceremonial guard as a core choices, which is expensive, then go with the expensive specialist choices. You won't have much points left, or not all 4 slots unlocked for your support units. So you are limited in here as well, which I would say we have a lot of option and hard choices here now. So it's really like list building might get more tricky and interesting in the future with this, especially if you start building out, you want to take certain support units and then need to figure out how to unlock them. While for other themes, you would go, I want to take those core units and look what else fits in the army from specialist and support. Also,
I haven't used Scorch. I'm not one of those heavy Scorch Wing users, so I'm not, eternally wounded by this. So, but I know some people, particularly ones that spent the money for the nice resins and stuff, it's going to be definitely have an impact.
I mean, which would get in the question, what could you use those Scorch Wings else for? Because it's like, if you got the models, if you have too many for it, like you can go now with the regiment option, if you have pure taken troops only. But would you think that you also could lose this as count as fire elemental regiments if you change the base sizes? For those who have
Make
too
a
many of those,
make a member
yeah,
sprites.
yeah,
Then you could take a whole bunch of them because Ember Sprites are 4
yeah,
or auxiliary. So you could put them all in your army. So
yeah.
yeah. So Ember Sprites are only 75 points, so you could spam them, so to speak. So fill up 4 auxiliary slots with them, and they'll see the table. So now Ember Sprites are large infantry though, so they'll definitely have to change their base size.
Yeah. There need to be some differences. If you take Scorchwing and Ember Sprite, you have to make something to differ them, obviously, so people can confuse them. But that's an interesting option to now move them from, if people have too many or heavy into the models, to just use them as Ember Sprites, which also don't have a picture in there, so we may get a future new model release for them.
Yep. We should get them. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like. But
yeah. So in general, what option do we have for the models now? We know there's going to be a full STL release, but it's like,
and we
how
know
do we
the
work around
Commandant
this?
is coming because
Commandant is coming.
we know it's coming because they
Yeah.
mentioned it in one of the podcasts, and I know Rob Fanuff is beside himself with excitement. He's finally getting a Commandant model, so we know that it's coming. So that'll be very cool.
So I'm really looking forward to see finally all those models released and how they look like. But what do you think? Is it still worth getting the old army boxes if a shop still has them and buy them out from Mantic to start an army, or really wait for the STL release, even if you like plastic models more?
Well, I'm going to cycle back to one of my earlier comments. Do you think that the primes and the youngbloods are going to be set to the side, or unblooded? Are they going to be set to the side or not? If you think that Salamander primes are something that you're going to use in your army, well, yeah, the old boxes are great because they got piles of those things in them. So, especially with the tyrants too. If you can find them, they would be pretty good to use for that. So if not, and you think that, you're going to go heavy with the Kazanor Lancers or something like that, then no, they wouldn't be something to pick up. So you really got to look at what you're going to do. Are the models in it something that you're interested in building your list out of?
Right.
Yeah. And those aren't even available on the Mantic site. You'd have to find them out in the wild. So, yeah.
I mean, and I think some of those boxes still have some old metal parts inside. So shops might sell them off for cheap because metal isn't loved by a lot of people in these days. So you might be able to find a good deal on some shops that still have those left, and would be an option to get into.
Yeah. So let's see. I went up and found something here. Let's see. This is an old Salamander Mega Army. So you've got 1, 2, 3. I think you got 1 of the Unblooded and 2 of the Primes, Tyrants, some Fire Elementals, and a Mage. So that would be the Mega Army if you could find it. So, and what's the other one? I got lots of Mega Armies, it looks like, that are available out there. So for right now. So, the Salamander Army is just, let's see, Prime, the Ceremonial Guard, and Clan Lord or Battle Captain. Yeah, and a Lakilodon. So, yep.
For the base models and for the Clan Lord, yes, but not for the Lakilodon.
Right. Yeah.
I think, and also the Unblooded in the Mega Army still have the metal upgrade parts.
Yes.
So you won't use those as well. So it's simply just the primes in there, and you don't buy them for the Unblooded. You buy them for more primes.
Right. Maybe, unless you're Unblooded, and you can mix and match some of the parts and get 2 regiments out of it. So
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that. So or possibly even 3 if you're very judicious with the use of them in the front rank only. So you might be able
Yeah.
to pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, also that the tyrants, you would make them a regiment by spreading the free models out a bit with base decoration and things like that. Another interesting option that come to my mind now is because fire elementals are, how to say, rather flexible from a modeling point of view, because you can make this with green stuff or other modeling, acrylic paste and things like that, to make this your own fire elemental army and make the models on your own as well. So this would be a cheap entry army for Kings of War, because you can get really with the core choices as fire elementals really easy into that by just creating your own or very own models. So do you think this is Salamanders make them now the cheapest army to start with, Kings of War? Because either you 3D print the army, which would be pretty cheap if you already have a printer, or model them with modeling base, green stuff, or whatever have you hand. If you have the stuff at home and know what you do, you can go fire elemental heavy and make that one going. So releasing this one in the first batch with the first expansion box is an interesting choice, and should for sure help to spread out Kings of War to those interested in to start with 4th edition. So from my point, I think Salamander will be chosen by a lot of people who want to start with Kings now in 4th edition. What do you think, Menai?
Yeah, we also have a new player in the club who just started like 2 months ago. He also picked Salamanders. He's not sure what the models to get, but with a big part of models already in the vault, like the fire elementals are already in the vault, and we have a lot of people who have 3D printers at home. They can just print him those fire elementals. He doesn't even need the printer himself. He just says to our colleagues in the club, can you print me that? That's also a nice get into Kings of War point. So go find a club where you can play and ask around, hey, I want to start to play, and if someone is willing to help me print. So that's also
I think these days every club has at least one person in there who 3D prints or has a printer sitting around. So this would be also something easy to make connections. Like if you want to start Kings of War, make connections to a club and then get the printed army as a cheap entry one. So this is like a good option as well, right?
Yeah, yep. I also know for a fact in the Netherlands there's also a club and they bought a big printer, a really expensive one for like 800 euros for the club.
For the club.
Everyone paid into that in the club, and they are pulling armies out like nothing else.
Right. If you got a space, I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't use resin here at the house, is just the toxic nature of it. And but if it was in a club and the club had good exhaust and everything else, I'd chip in on that.
Also something to consider now is because while FDM printing isn't as good as resin printing for models in general, people are starting to put really good results out there to start with. So this could also be an option for a cheap army. I mean, I have seen people printing out the epic warbuff models in FDM at 10 mil just as gaming pieces. So if you are happy with say a little lower quality for your first army to start in cheap, FDM printing those new Salamanders could be an option as well if you don't have a resin printer at home or no access to it, or don't want it to be in your house like Mark has. So yeah, looking forward to what people got experimenting with this army in future.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be FDM printing them. So, and I've been FDM printing the Epic Warpath stuff, and it looks pretty good. I've got to switch over to my 2 millimeter nozzle to see how it'll print. Right now, I'm just using the 0.4. You know,
Yeah.
are they perfect? No. Are they okay? And I'm gonna okay from 3-4 feet away. Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're good for you to practice on. You know, the big thing is painting them, and do you want to take your time to paint these lower quality models? It's like, just slap a paint job on them, type of thing. Try to do it as fast as you can, and don't worry about the results. They're okay from that.
I
I've got
mean,
a FDM printed Rorty army. I was working on it now. We'll have to see how it survives in the 4th edition. So, but
yeah. I mean, it's not even necessary to paint the models. Like I can see this fire elementals printed in a color changing FDM to put on the table without painting them.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that could be fine. Or the other thing too is you just hit them with the old Krylon spray paint or something like that, and
Yeah.
you know get the old black wash ink with the floor wax combination, the big bucket, dip them, and
Yeah.
there you go. Slap them on some bases with some simple flock. You could be done with them in a weekend, easy.
Yeah.
So
It's
absolutely.
like paint them like it's 2002.
Hey, I enjoyed painting in 2002, so I
Yeah.
like it. So, but that's what I always struggle with. I finally have broken out of that where I keep trying to paint like the top end painters, and I got the Phaneuf and Duval syndrome. You know what I mean? It's like I can't put good stuff. I finally said, you know what? I'm painting like a Chinese factory worker, and I don't care. So I'm good to go. I'm getting
Yeah.
better at it. I still get stuck in my own mind sometimes when I'm working on them. I did that with my Abyss army for Champions. It took me a lot longer than I wanted it to, but
Yeah.
if you just get in there, 3-color minimum, get them on the table, I think you could do it. Fire would be a lot easier too. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Obviously.
Yep.
So as we are now closing to 2 hours again, going to the last question. So do you guys think that, or phrase it differently, what can the new salamanders do that the old army could not do, and what are we missing, or what changed, what we got in the old army and now missing now? Menai.
Um, that's a good question. I didn't play Salamanders in 3rd edition, to be honest. I just played a lot against them, and I was looking into them, and I don't know what the new army can do, what the old army could do. The only thing is the Scorchwing spam. I think that is gone, but all other is open for testing and creativity from the players, I think. So there's a lot out you can do and will be possible. I think it's better to have all those options from the list building and army building standpoint. Um, what you can do and where you can take the whole Salamander army. I said it before. I like those thinking and those synergies that you can build the synergy with them, and that you take the fire elementals in the core, you take a lot of fireballs, and then just start searching them in or something like that. I like the synergy of those army, and that's still there, and that's an important point for me as a player that I just don't have units that I shuffle in one at a time and hope they kill the enemy faster than I get killed. No, I can build a plan with the whole army and fight around the plan. I have a game idea for my list, and I can build around that.
Mark, what are you missing?
What I'm missing is the prices that they're going to charge for the STLs online. That's the piece I'm missing right now. So, what kind of price am I looking at here? So, I mean, we're all excited about the big STL release, but am I going to need a second mortgage on my home to afford the STL? So, I don't know how they're going to be packaged. I also have a bunch of them because I've been a Vault member since the beginning. So I've got all the packs. So we already got Tyrants. We already got Rhinosaurs. I don't know if they're going to repackage them into one big Salamander thing. We've already got the Fire Elementals. We got the Greater Fire Elementals. So we've got the upgrade parts for the Ceremonial Guard. Heck, those were in the first pack that came out. So we've got a lot. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how they do the primes in particular. Are they just going to do the bodies like the plastic bodies so you can pop all the different pieces on them? Because we already have the Corsair pieces, so we've already got a bunch of the stuff already. I think we even have the Fire Drake. So, there's going to be a lot to take a look at there. I like the way it's laid out. I like the army. I'm excited about the STL part. Again, pending mortgage. So that it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes down. I had an ambush army for it and I enjoyed it. So, but again, it was limited to the models that were available. Now, if I got a mage and a raptor, that could change things up. It could really spark the imagination. Now, I've only seen one other list, so I don't know. I'm sure I'll get the same level of excitement from all of them. But for right now, I'm not disappointed in the Salamanders at all. I certainly am very, very interested in putting an army together for it. I definitely will put together a new ambush army. Definitely will do that. Do I go full 2,300 point or, is the new level going to be 2,000 points? Who knows? So, but, I guess for now you build towards 2,300, but I'm excited about it. It's got a couple of different elements, which makes it intriguing. So, but I don't think it's a bad list to be paired with the STL thing. So, and with the champions as well. So I'm excited about the whole thing. So interested, definitely going to be working on an army for them. Size yet to be determined. How about you, Matthias? What do you think? Are you all in? Are you going to face them across the field of battle? What do you think?
I'm definitely facing them across the field of battle because my younger son showed interest in starting the Salamander's army. So he saw that the Fire Drake and said, "This is the army I want to play in Kings of War." So we are going to start one. So I really hope we see an ambush box coming in there so that we can start small. Like with the kids, starting with ambush in the small, with champions, ambush in the small game, and then slowly grow the army. So this is something I'm really looking forward to. And, so this will be more like a family project into that. So I'm also looking forward to see which units I get, how the SDLs are distributed and look like, but also which conversion and kit bashing I can still do. Because, it's like... having everything printed and getting full models or delivered is just half the joy if you can't build and kit bash and convert the units. So I'm still looking out what the plastics can do and what combinations I can get out of the models into that font. So
yeah, that adds a kind of a new point to it, is doing the scavenger hunt, looking for the old models if you don't want to go the STL route.
So we reached the point of nostalgia here to hunt down old Mantic plastics to make conversions with new 3D printed parts.
There you go. See, full circle. It'll make Ronnie happy.
Yeah. So right. So anything else we missed or you guys want to add to the preview for now? Everyone's
good.
happy.
I think we'll follow up after we get it on the table. So, and get a chance to mess around with it, having the list. And again, we're getting little teeny pieces of information. So everything's out of context. So, this is all just, what we see from looking at this one little slice of it. Like, and as we mentioned, going through commands, we don't know all the command rules. So we're guessing and kind of filling in the parts. So it's really to be determined. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Because then if there are no other questions and all points made so far, I hope you enjoyed this episode, dear listener, and wish you a good morning, day, or night whenever you're listening, and goodbye.
Bye.